An ordinary Japanese office worker, Rokuro Okajima, finds out he's about to have a bad business trip when a band of mercenary pirates known as the Lagoon Company takes over the ship he's on. They interrogate Rokuro and, against some protest, eventually decide to take him hostage. Reports come in that a patrol ship is coming their way, and so the pirates escape on a PT boat armed with torpedoes and heavy weapons. Since he's just a wimpy office worker, all Rokuro can do is watch helplessly as Japan drifts further and further away. Meanwhile, the company where Rokuro works at, the Asahi Heavy Industrial Co., holds a meeting for the board to discuss the pirates' attack. It is decided that since the disc has been stolen by the pirates, they can still recover it before the Russian mercenary group Hotel Moscow can get their hands on it. The department chief, Kageyama, is given the task to deal with it. Back on the pirate boat, Rebecca Lee aka Revi of the Lagoon Company aims to take some ransom money for kidnapping Rokuro, because according to her, they are only getting paid 20 grand for the job. The stoic leader of the company, Dutch, tries to explain to her that she doesn't even have any contact info on Rokuro. How is that even going to work out? Her short fuse and a loaded gun in each hand make quite a frightening combo as she starts shooting in Rokuro's direction. If there's no money on his head, then might as well blow it off. Thankfully, none of the bullets hit him. However, it's safe to say that the man is terrified. Dutch explains to Rokuro that their main priority still happens to be the disc. They have to deliver it to their client. Only then will they think about talking to his company about ransom money. While Dutch explains things to him, Rokuro's mind drifts towards Stockholm Syndrome, because at this moment, he feels as if the man is the only person he can trust. Meanwhile, Kageyama ends up assigning the task of retrieving the disc to another mercenary group. Extra order. The boat arrives at Rowanapur, a lawless and corrupt city. Dutch gets off, telling Rokuro to come along, and gives him the nickname Rock. The latter looks surprised. Benny, the hacker and mechanic of the Lagoon Company, tells him to come and join them for a drink. Rokuro is left wondering if this is what a hostage situation is supposed to look like. They take him to a bar called Yellow Flag, where every other person is carrying a gun. Dutch explains that the place was started by the surviving soldiers of the Vietnam War. However, soon enough the place was littered with hookers, mercenaries, hitmen, drug addicts, you name it. Rokuro is reminded of how different the Japanese pubs are from this one, where the waitresses always used to smile. He asks how Benny ended up here. The man informs him that he was at a university in Florida when he got in trouble with the FBI and Mafia for hacking. Revi cuts him off with a loaded gun in his face, telling Rokuro that back then she swooped in to save him from being thrown into the sea in a suitcase. Dutch is on the call with the Hotel Moscow boss, who informs him that she didn't trust the Asahi Industrial and left bait. Soon enough, some Chinese man took the bait and gave the information to Asahi Company. Her men surround him as he is forced to tell them that the company has sent assassins after them to Rowanapur, and fearfully tells them that it's extra order. As soon as he is rendered useless, Balalaika's men mercilessly shoot him to death. Speaking of the assassins, they announce their arrival by throwing grenades inside the bar. The place blows up and they start firing. Their aim is only to kill, regardless of whoever ends up a corpse. Rokuro crawls and takes cover next to Revi, who is casually sipping rum. Bao, the bar owner, proudly states that the walls of the bar are bulletproof and can withstand anything up to a 50 calimeter. Benny runs towards Dutch while Rokuro starts having a mental breakdown. He can't believe that he worked so hard to graduate from university and join a good company, only to die in some backwater bar. The extra orders captain proceeds to march in with his soldiers. He sadistically declares that he hates it when people survive his ruthless attacks. Finally, Revi jumps into action, armed with a Beretta 92F in each hand. She starts making short work of the mercenaries, hence her nickname, Two Hands. Taking cover to reload, she ends up next to Bao, who is seething with anger from all the damage done to his bar. Dutch returns fire, and Revi joins him shortly after, killing more of the henchmen with a smile on her face. As they make an escape, running out the back of the bar, Benny arrives with a car gets them out of there. Later, in the PT boat, Dutch informs Rokuro that Benny is trying to reach out to his company. However, if the deal doesn't go as planned, they will have to drop him off at the Malaysian port. Rokuro isn't pleased to hear this. He reminds Dutch that they were the ones who got him into all this mess, and now they just want him to fend for himself. To Revi, he looks like he is whining, and she is about to blow his head off yet again. When they get connected to Kageyama, Rokuro apologizes for the disk. The man tells him to consider it as if it doesn't even exist because it had nuclear weapon plans on it. The whole idea of nukes is just too much for the management to deal with. He'd rather have Rokuro disappear into the sea than to disclose this information regarding the disk. He will be promoted to assistant manager, and then the company will nicely wrap it all up with a funeral for him, which implies that they aren't going to save him. Oh, and to make matters even worse, Asahi has paid for extra orders equipment to kill the pirates. Rokuro keeps throwing up from the news. Extra orders gunship helicopter arrives and starts firing at them. Revi tries to fire back, but it's useless. Rokuro has had enough and takes a life vest to escape. Revi stops him by jumping on top of him. The gunship leaves, but not before Rokuro angrily launches his weapon at it. Kageyama gets on a plane. Meanwhile, Rokuro is angry at how little his life costs. The helicopter has stopped firing, which makes the Lagoon Company suspicious, because according to Benny, they could have been easily turned into Swiss roll by now. Something isn't right. Dutch spreads out a map. Realization strikes him. The helicopter has been leading them to the route of a channel towards Belawan, which is littered with rocks and mangroves. Benny turns the boat before things get rocky. The gunship starts firing at the boat once again, blocking the path. Benny has got no choice but to turn towards the mangroves, and they pass a shipwreck. The captain patiently waits for the boat to reach a dead end and appear again. He wants to see his prey struggle. Rokuro is losing it again. In his panicked state of mind, he tells them to contact the local police, as if they will help a bunch of bad guys. Dutch gives him a hard punch, knocking him back to reality. More than anything, he is worried about the torpedo. If that thing receives a single hit, it'll blast them off to the moon. He is about to discard it into the sea when Rokuro gets an idea. He suggests that they fight Extra Order head-on. They can use the shipwreck from earlier to their advantage. Benny wants to give his plan a try, because in theory, if accelerated, the boat can work as a hydroplane. Rokuro wants them to lure in the Extra Order captain, however, he isn't making any promises. The rest is up to Dutch to decide as a captain. Dutch quickly approved the plan. The boat comes out of hiding. The EO captain is more than pleased. He takes the bait by following the boat. Rock positions himself to fire a flare away from the boat in case the helicopter launches a missile at them. As soon as the helicopter is in sight, Revi starts firing at it. Just like they had anticipated, 2 missiles are launched in their direction. Rock's flare works because the missiles turn their direction towards it and collide with each other. The boat is swerved towards the shipwreck at high speed and uses it like a ramp to jump over. As soon as the boat gets near the helicopter, Dutch fires the torpedo. The makeshift rocket hits the gunship head-on, causing it to crash. Although the boat gets damaged from the jump, Rokuro is overjoyed that his plan has worked. He soon passes out with the hit. Later, the crew delivers the disc to Balalaika, and she then returns it back to Kageyama. She tells him that she is from Hotel Moscow, and she doesn't want them to hold any grudges. The man is surprised because he thought that she was from Bougainvillea Trade Company. Rokuro refuses to leave with his boss. He tells Kageyama that the man has already declared Rokuro dead. He has embraced this new identity of Rock now, and he'd rather not leave. Kageyama doesn't really care, and the car drives away. The Lagoon Company willingly takes him in as a new member of the crew. The Lagoon Company is back in Roanapur. The city can be spotted from afar by its gigantic Buddha statue. Ironically, the place itself is submerged in all sorts of vile and corrupt things. Rock is on his way back from grocery shopping when he sees Dutch leaving. The man is on a payphone when he gets interrupted by Mr. Chen, telling him to pull out from working with Fry Face, aka Balalaika. He starts complaining about how the Russian being an outsider is sucking the city dry by taking all the clients for them. Dutch is irritated with his attitude and reminds him of the last time his crew had delivered something for him. It was a tough call, but Mr. Chen still didn't pull out of the deal. The Lagoon Company had to sort out the matter without his assistance. The man, like a hypocrite, doesn't want to be reminded of the past. Dutch walks away, but not before burning him a little by calling Balalaika way more honourable than him. Dutch gets called by Donnie Yen, a trusted source, for a job. Later, Revi wakes Rock up from his slumber with a hard kick. The crew gets in the car and sets out for the next package delivery. This time, it's for the Vietnamese military at Phu Quoc Island. Chen rings up a man named Luak after he sees Benny's car leaving. He wants the man to follow through with the plan. The job assigned to the Lagoon Company is a trap. Unaware of Chen's plotting, the Lagoon Company climbs on board. While learning how to tie a knot, Rock explains to Revy that at his corporate job, he was in the materials procurement department, which required him to go on business trips, write reports and make phone calls, but now that he thinks about it, it feels as if hanging his head low in front of his superiors was his actual job. She questions if he is some sort of a masochist for letting them drag him around. He sullenly tells her that this is how things are in the lawful world, unless you want to end up jobless. He tries to ask her about her past, if she has memories of running around on the beach swinging her toy sword, but she nonchalantly tells him that in her childhood, she used to do all the criminal, evil things she still does. The boat set up by Chen starts speeding towards them. He mischievously laughs at the demise Dutch is soon about to face. The pirates think that they are most likely police boats, but Benny gets alarmed when he spots 6 boats on the radar, speeding towards them. Revy soon figures out that they are being targeted by pirates. Rock is puzzled. Why would pirates attack pirates? Dutch tells him that he had done a background check on Donnie's economic status. He gets cut off by Luwak making an entrance. Dutch thinks the man has mistaken them for prey and tells him it's just them. Unfortunately, they are the prey. Dutch realizes that Chen is the one behind this. As they come closer, the boats open fire at the Lagoon Company. Dutch pulls back. 2 of the boats end up destroying each other. Luwak's determination hasn't worn off just yet. The 4 boats follow the PT boat closely behind. Dutch leaves it to Revy to handle the rest. She shoots a hole in one boat and jumps on the other. Revy opens fire in their faces and then jumps to the next boat. The smoke coming out of the boat makes it hard for the enemies to take aim. She is on a rampage, shooting left and right, not slowing down. Rock can't even relay the correct information of her location in all the frenzy. Revy stands tall. Luwak's boat is the only one standing. He takes the wheel and turns it around, giving up on killing them, claiming them to be a bunch of demons. She fires at the boat, destroying it as well. Rock praises her fighting skill. He thinks about what could have possibly happened to turn her this crushed and broken to not have the slightest bit of remorse for her actions, but then again, he thinks maybe something has been broken inside of him as well, if he is praising her in the first place. Meanwhile, Chen is angry at Luwak, failing to complete the task, and packs his bag of cash to flee from the house. The door opens, only to reveal his worst nightmare paying him a visit. Balalaika has come to see him in person. He starts making excuses, but she gives a single hard kick to his face, sending him to the floor and makes it clear that he better stay out of the way. She rings up the Lagoon Company and apologizes to Dutch for the inconvenience caused by Chen. Speaking of the man, he has been tied up to a chair and left in a room with explosives. Balalaika makes Dutch hear the sound of the explosion as she presses the button. When he gets off the phone, he refers to Chen's death as mere gossip. The crew calls it a day as they head to Yellow Flag for some drinks. Rock seems to be quickly adapting to his new life because for him, drinking beer in a pirate boat is way more elegant than the scuba diving he once did at Ishigaki Island. The scene cuts to a flashback of the naval base at Kiel in 1945. A German boat is leaving Nazi Germany. On board is also a Japanese lieutenant colonel named Matsudo who came to learn aeronautics. He chats with the lieutenant commander of the German Navy, while the SS or the Schutzstaffel Fall Saudi remains silent. The flashback ends. Rock is struggling from the immense heat as he carries boxes back to their place. Another flashback from 1945 begins. The boat has arrived somewhere near Cape Verde Island in Africa. The passengers on board are having a good time playing board games and making dinner plans. Afterwards, at night in the Indian Ocean, they spot a freighter moving towards Ceylon, present-day Sri Lanka. The captain orders an attack on it, but the lieutenant commander is hesitant. The captain reminds him that it's an English freighter taking fuel for the Allies, who will soon be attacking them. He apologizes to the man and proceeds to order the crew to launch torpedoes at the freighter. Back to the present. Rock is showing his desk job skills with the fuel calculations of the torpedo used earlier. When Dutch comes walking through the door with 2 scuba diving tanks Rock had been eyeing earlier while bringing back the boxes. Dutch jokingly calls himself an off-season Santa. In the 1945 flashback, on the 25th of March, near the Nicobar Island, Indonesia, the German submarine dived underwater to monitor the situation from a safe distance. The enemy is on the surface of the sea, It is decided that the submarine will move behind the enemy while underwater. They get the signal that the enemy has completely surrounded them. The captain stands steadfast. He keeps giving his men directions. They launch a missile from the rear on the English ship. However, the submarine gets bombarded with depth charges, damaging the front. It slowly sinks and hits the reef. The men in the forward torpedo room are about to drown. They close the hatch, sacrificing their lives to stop the rest of the submarine from filling up with water. One of the crew members informs the captain that the engine and the electric generator has been damaged beyond repair, and Matsudo has taken his life the samurai way by performing seppuku. The captain gathers his men, praising them for their bravery and the many battles they have fought with courage. He relieves them of their military duties and tells them to choose the way they wish to die because the submarine will run out of oxygen in 2 hours. He sees the SS officer holding a painting. He tells the latter about the situation. The man doesn't want to accept the reality and tells him that they need to get this painting to the surface because it is the symbol of the rise of Germany. The captain, irritated, tells him that the only place they are going to end up in is an underwater grave. However, he is disgusted at the fact that he has to share it with the SS officer because the man isn't even sparing a single thought to his family in the final hours of his life. The SS officer angrily tells him to take his words back because the country always comes first. The captain tells him that the Nazi flag has fallen. He will happily take his last breath in the water if it means his children wouldn't have to see this cursed flag. The SS officer angrily takes out his pistol to shoot the man. The scene cuts to the present. The Lagoon Company crew is in their boat again. This time, they are going scuba diving. Benny explains the purpose of their scuba diving to Revy and Rock. He narrates a story of a Nazi submarine from 50 years ago. The captain, named Major Venstel H. Abe, was given the task to take the Japanese Lieutenant Colonel Matsudo to Batavia. The journey wasn't going to be an easy one, because they had to go around Europe and Africa and then reach Batavia. They somehow made it happen, though when their destination was in sight, the submarine got attacked by the US Navy, killing 44 crew members. But there happens to be another, less commonly known story related to the submarine. It is believed that an SS officer had forcefully boarded the submarine with papers from the secret police and only had a painting in hand, painted by the unknown artist named August Janke. Revy isn't impressed by the sight of the painting. Dutch states that the main point is the painting still lies in the ruins of that sunken submarine. A collector in Spain wants it because his hobby happens to be collecting Nazi paintings. Benny relays that a French phone company had recently discovered the whereabouts of the sunken submarine while laying down underwater cables. Dutch excitedly informs them that many countries are trying to claim the painting, but haven't got their hands on it so far, and the Lagoon Company has been assigned the task for a solid $50,000. Benny gets down to the business of telling them the plan to grab the prized possession. 2 of them will go through the torpedo tubes. They have to weld them shut first in order to open the door to the inside. Then they grab the thing and get out of there as soon as possible. Revy and Rock gear up to jump. The latter is having second thoughts because he doesn't know anything about carpentry, let alone an underwater one. Revy's fuse short-circuits yet again. She yells at him to hurry up and go over his equipment. Dutch cuts them off by telling them that the beacon is the only thing with which he can track them, so they better keep it safe. He hands an underwater rifle to Revy. Her mood quickly elevates to a happier one. Soon after the duo jumps into the water, Benny rests as he monitors the screen, showing their location. He notices a ship coming in their direction. Dutch thinks that maybe it is a cable company, but Benny is certain they won't be taking the route for another 3 days. Dutch quickly tells him to put up the Thai Navy's flag. Soon enough, the ship inquires about them. Dutch relay that they are from the Thai Navy, out on a mission. The ship crew gets suspicious because the boat is working independently. Dutch does not give any straight answers and asks them to reveal their identity, but they only respond with silence. Dutch is suspicious about the ship. Before going inside, he tells Benny to wrap things up and keep an eye on it. The men from the other ship are dressed in uniforms. One of them informs their commander about the boat belonging to bandits, since no military operation is taking place. He orders them to launch anti-tank missiles. Benny reports to Dutch that things aren't looking good. The latter starts the engine. Just then, the ship launches not 1, but 3 anti-tank missiles at the boat. Dutch yells for Benny to hold on tight as he speeds away the boat from the missiles. Dutch keeps swerving the boat to dodge the missiles. They narrowly escape all three of them and keep a safe distance in case the ship messes around again. Meanwhile, the other two make it inside the submarine through the torpedo hole. Revi detonates the hatch without warning Rock. The poor thing almost gets washed away with the pressure of the water. They walk through the literal graveyard. The bodies have decayed. The whole atmosphere is gloomy. Rock can sense it as well. He tries to hold a conversation with Revi about how the men must have felt in their last moments, as the light went out, and so did the oxygen. Revi, stone cold as ever, isn't even the slightest bit moved by it. Instead, she thinks that the man is being a nuisance, troubling himself with things that don't even concern him. They enter the area where the SS officer had shot the captain. They recognize the men from the story by their uniforms. However, it seems as if there had been a proper gunfight, instead of a single shot fired because of all the blood splattered. Rock questions maybe they felt despair creeping up on them, which led to that moment. Revi compares despair with cancer. The feeling towards the end of it is the same. You have nothing left to lose, which means that wasn't why the trigger was pulled. Her theory is that when the SS officer shot the captain, the men came rushing in to see what had happened, and then they ended up killing the officer to avenge the captain's death. The crew must have been like a family, and the outsider, aka the SS officer, must have started the whole thing. Rock finds the painting lying under one of the corpses. He wipes off the dust to reveal the exact painting Benny had shown them. Revi happily walks away to collect other items of value for some extra cash. She sets out to search the iron with the cross that belongs to the captain. Apparently, that thing has a diamond in it. Meanwhile, Commander Rachman of the troublesome ship has a whole army on board. They seem to sound similar to the way Nazi Germany was. Even their chants are similar. They call themselves the Aryan Socialist Union. Rachman raises the spirits of his men by telling them that they will soon be taking part in the creation of a new world, which has been once lost due to the interference of the communists and the Zionists. What they are about to do is nothing short of courageous and patriotic. With this, he hopes to bring back the racial hierarchy the way it once used to be. He chooses one of the men named Kruppen for the task at hand. They look like literal fanatics because of the immense emotions they are feeling to fulfill the task. They even have an anthem dedicated to themselves. It blares on the speaker as they all march in their places and sing their anthem with deep emotion. The scene cuts to Benny closely watching them through binoculars. He informs Dutch that the men are holding a concert. The latter laughs it off by telling him that this is exactly what happens when you make a fool of yourself. He asks for Benny's opinion as a white male. The mechanic agrees and reminds him that he is a Jew, and the hatred for the Nazis is in his bloodstream. Benny sees the men lowering down a pod with Kruppen inside it. All they can do is watch, because there is no easy way of communicating the oncoming danger to Revi and Rock. Back inside the ship, Revi brings a bag full of what she refers to as goodies. Rock wants her to leave them behind, because the ones that deserve to have it are the families these men have left behind. She lights up a cigarette and sits down to tell him a little story. Still unaware of the approaching danger, she asks him to identify the two things she is holding up. He answers the obvious: a medal and a skull. She clarifies that they are mere objects when stripped of all the meanings attached to them. In Revi's opinion, the only meaning attached to the medal happens to be the money she will make out of it. He sullenly asks if money is God to her. She simply relays that it sure is way more useful than a deity. She recalls the time when she was still a kid and cried to God day and night until the police beat the crap out of her, which made her realize that money and guns are the only two things to get you out of misery. Rock just sits there and apologizes, but she neither wants any pity from him, nor does she want him to listen to this story, like some rich man who could least be bothered with it, and the moment he decides to turn the stories on her, he will no longer be considered a part of their crew. They hear the ship members making their way down the submarine. Revi gets into shooting position. Rock realizes that it's more than a single person and starts stressing out. She comes out of hiding and starts killing them. Rock tumbles and drops the painting to the enemy's side. Kruppen gets his hands on it and escapes in the pod. Revi and Rock get their gear and start going straight up after them. Kruppen has already informed the commander about them. Benny is worried that she isn't equipped to fight back. As soon as she surfaces out of the water, one of the men starts firing at her. She keeps firing back, but Rock drags her down, signaling her to stop. The men on the ship think that she got shot and call it a misfortune for touching their inheritance. They definitely have some neo-Nazi agenda. The men pull up the pod, the ship leaves, and the two are on the boat again, but Revi is mad. She wants them to go turn the neo-Nazi party into a bloodbath. Dutch is up for it, but first he wants them to get their gear up. Recap-Kun keeps admiring the painting when one of his men, Fritz Stanford, asks if the painting was really worth using all that equipment for. The man enlightens him on the importance of the frame. First of all, their patron Alfred wanted for this very painting to be the ideological basis for a national socialist movement, and they had been promised financial assistance for retrieving it. Back in the boat, Rock and Dutch discuss the neo-Nazis' extravagant use of equipment for a painting when it suddenly clicks. Rock reckons that maybe the one that hired them for the painting could be the same person since they were offered a lot of money as well. Revy is on the deck refusing to eat anything and keeps on smoking. Later, she and Dutch gear up to raid the ship. The woman looks like she is about to devour her enemies. Meanwhile, the men on the ship are having the time of their lives. Music plays as they drink and cheer. Revy's first target stumbles outside drunk. She shoots him before he even gets the chance to warn the rest. Revy goes on a rampage. Bodies litter the floor in every direction. She isn't sparing any lives. One of the men warns Recap-Kun about them. More men keep coming their way, but she keeps shooting in both directions, not missing a single shot. She walks past the bloodbath, her boots leaving behind a bloody trail. Recap-Kun hides as he watches her. He quickly enters the armory to load a machine gun, but she gets there faster than he can assemble it. She shoots him dead and walks away. As the rest of the men make their way towards the galley, they are stopped by Dutch showing up with a rifle. He shoots them, unimpressed with how they aren't even able to put up a fight. One of them, from the sheer panic, gives away Recap-Kun's location. Revy still has a distant look in her eyes as she reaches the room of some outsiders on the ship. They beg for mercy. She is about to shoot one of them when someone throws the gun away from her hand. It happens to be Dutch. She seems to have snapped out of whatever dark place her mind had wandered off to. The commander orders Fritz to teach the pirates a lesson. Meanwhile, Dutch tries to knock some sense into Revy, but she doesn't admit to her recklessness, but rather nonchalantly tells him that it's their job to create bloodbaths wherever they go. He asserts the fact that a gunman is someone professional and not someone whose only aim is to shoot. That's simply a shooter, which is exactly how she is acting. He makes it clear she can go on a rampage all she wants, but if she messes up, his life will be on the line as well. She doesn't want to listen to another lecture. Dutch reminds her of the fact that he is her employer and lecturing is bound to happen. Men surround them from both sides. The pirates draw their guns. It looks like they are about to shoot each other, but they end up shooting the men that almost ambush them. Meanwhile, Recap-Kun rings up the patron, informing him about their ship being under attack, but assures him that they will be victorious. The man doesn't want him to make any fake promises. His only interest is in the painting reaching him in one piece. Revy and Dutch look for the commander when Revy encounters Fritz, who goes on and on about how he will end Revy's life with his gun. She loads her gun unfazed and shoots him to shut him up. He tries to get up, but she pushes him back down with her foot on his chest and shoots him on the forehead. Recap-Kun and his benefactor Alfred both hear the sound of a gunshot. The latter tells him that it's obvious the commander has lost the battle. Just then, Dutch opens the door. Alfred tells the commander to put Dutch on the phone. It is revealed that the benefactor is after what is inside the painting, and he had intentionally given both the crews the same task in order to make them cross paths. He knows the number to Dutch's office, and the man happens to be the owner of the company in Madrid that had sent the pirates on the mission of retrieval of the painting. He is revealed to be an ex-SS officer as he reminisces about the meeting held at Wannsee, where the final solution, aka the massacre of European Jews in concentration camps, was discussed. The members of the meeting had promised to become what he calls as realistic guardians, and had collected the whole of their capital, then created files with their bank accounts written along with their signatures. When the downfall of the Nazi Germany had approached, they took those files and placed them inside of 4 paintings, fleeing Germany. He finishes his story by calling Dutch with a racial insult. The latter warns him that he better watch his mouth or the painting will end up in the sea. Meanwhile, the commander is gritting his teeth and shaking from anger. However, the SS officer is calm as a cucumber. He informs them that it wouldn't matter to him if the painting doesn't reach him. He has other sources of capital, and he is doing well financially. Dutch keeps his word of delivering the painting because of the high price promised to him. Alfred tells them that he has no further business left with Recap-Kun. The latter angrily throws things off his desk and calls Alfred a traitor. Revy comes knocking on the door, reminding Dutch to hurry up. She throws one of her guns towards the commander. Revy makes a bet on who he's going to shoot first. She bets on black. He points it at himself, and after a few seconds, pulls the trigger as he points it at Dutch. She is right. They both move closer and shoot him. They take a smoke break and signal the crew to get them. As they wait, she confesses that she can't partner up with Rock because he is from the privileged side of the world, and she just can't shake off that feeling of them being different. Later during the day, Revi and Rock are in the car as he drives through Rawalpindi. Rock tries to crack a few jokes to ease the tension in the car, when Revi angrily tells him to drive with his mouth shut. She screams about already being tired from playing errand boy with him. Dutch had earlier set them up together in hopes of sorting out the tension created between them. He had instructed Rock to drive to Roan's Jackpot strip club first. At the club, Roan, the owner, is testing Revi's patience when he asks if she has finally decided to join the S&M dancers. She angrily tells him that her visit is work-related and hands him the bill for the drinks he had placed an order for. Revi gets them out as soon as he starts a conversation with Rock. Their next stop happens to be Balalaika's office. She asks them the reason for visiting her, when they could have easily relayed the message of late shipment over the phone. Revi tells her that they had to follow Dutch's order. She dismisses them as she boringly scrolls through adult content. While in the car, Revi randomly starts yelling yet again about getting tired from this errand boy task. The man almost swerves the car. He nervously tells her that they have one last task on the to-do list. They have to receive a firearms order from Sister P.W. Deegan. They end up at a rip-off church. There they come across Sister Ada. Definitely not how a nun should act or sound like, but nevertheless, she takes them to an elderly sister named Yolanda. She pulls up the record to check and it says that there are new items from the Eastern Division of Cambodia Petroleum. She has the items besides this one grenade launcher that was apparently out of stock. Revi shows her annoyance by telling her that they ordered it from her because they need it for the next mission, and the sister tells her that they actually do have it in person, but the only problem is that another customer also needs it on an urgent basis. However, since their company is a good customer of theirs, she'll hand it over to them instead, but there is a catch. They will have to pay more. Revi can't control her anger anymore. She draws her weapon, and so does Ida. Meanwhile, Rock and Sister Yolanda have a conversation about tea. He then politely tells her that they wouldn't mind if there is a deal on other goods. She asks if he is referring to illegal weapons. Rock states that big fish like Hotel Moscow have been looking for the leak in illegal drug trading, but can't seem to figure it out. They obviously would have skipped a place like church, where something like this wouldn't be expected. He then relays that earlier, he saw the big bags of clean sheets being ordered to be kept inside sheds, when usually the clean stuff is sent to quarters. Sister Yolanda denies his accusation of the church selling illegal drugs. Rock is persistent because the amount of firearms entering and leaving this place doesn't add up. After the threats, the sister finally agrees on adding the launcher to the list again. And as they are about to leave, Sister Yolanda invites him to visit the church anytime while she advises Revi to learn a thing or two about doing business from Rock, because everything can't be solved by flailing a gun in the other party's face. Later, when they are having lunch, Revi is still acting up. Rock tells her that he isn't going to apologize for the conversation they had on the submarine. Her eyes show a look of disbelief. He then stands up, slamming the table, and for the first time since they have met, he screams in her face with determination that he will not be apologizing for whatever he said when they were underwater. She gets up and pulls out her gun, pointing it at him. Everyone else around them gets up scared and clears the area. She asks about the words he'd like written on his tombstone. Rock, his old unwaveringly, tells her that there's no medicine for violent idiots should be written on it. She fires the shot, but he somehow musters the strength to pull the gun away from himself and throws it from her hand. He grabs her by her top and angrily tells her that she better start calling him Rock rather than throwing around insults. She's unable to loosen his grip. Rock gets in her personal space and furiously tells her that he had heard things from his superiors back in Japan, and now he can't have it happening again while he is all the way across the world, especially not from her. Furthermore, if she thinks that she is some macho villain who's after a grand reward, then she is wrong, because in reality, she greedily scavenges stuff from dead bodies. She needs to have at least some sense of pride. To defend herself, she pulls out her misery card. However, he keeps standing his ground as he tells her that she doesn't know anything about him either. Life is difficult, no matter how you live it, and instead of owning up to her mistakes and shortcomings, the only justification she ever has for her attitude is how miserable her life has been, which according to him, only shows her cowardice. She doesn't want to hear anything more from him. and reminds him that the life they are currently living isn't some movie. There's no Robin Hood around to save the day, and if he keeps on blabbering, she will kill him eventually. Rock, with his newfound determination, fearlessly tells her to go ahead because it further proves his point. She gives him a strong punch to his cheek, everything goes silent. He calmly takes her fist into his hand and slowly removes it from his face as he narrates to her the turn his life has taken. He reminds her that she was the one who had invited him to join them. That day, it felt as if he had been set free. He just can't understand what has gotten into her, for her to act like those men who had abandoned him. She holds her head in her hand, lowering it. After a few seconds, she tells him that he is still a bigger idiot than her. They keep going back and forth until they get interrupted by Chief WhatsApp from the police department for causing trouble in the middle of a marketplace. He gets them into the car to fill out some paperwork. She asks which side he wants to be on. He vaguely replies that he is where he stands. The day ends on a good note, as Rock helps her light her cigarette with his. The next day, Rock is on duty. He keeps track of the crates as they get lowered down from a Panama cartel ship into the boat. He thinks about how he was once a businessman in Tokyo and now works for a shipping company in the South China Sea. Rock gets back on the boat, informing Dutch that he counted all the crates like he was asked to do and brought the shipment that they are supposed to be taking back. The said shipment turns out to be a little boy named Gracia Lovelace. Apparently, they are supposed to hand him over at Hat Yahi to the buyer carrier designated by the Colombian mafia. Revy drags him inside the cabin. Dutch can already sense that Rock's morality is nagging at him on seeing the little boy all alone out in the sea. He reminds the newbie that their only responsibility is handing over shipments, and that's about it. Rock promises that he won't get attached to the kid. Revy is struggling with her babysitting job. Dutch tells him to switch it with her before things go south. Rock sits there with the kid as he asks if he is going to be sold off. Rock then thinks that the kid is making up stories about his lineage. Gracia recalls the mafia showing up on their farm. They had found out through geological testing that lanthanide, a rare earth metal, could be found there and wanted to buy the land, but his father didn't budge. Soon enough, the men tarnished their land and took him hostage. That is how he ended up next to Rock on the boat. Rock still doesn't believe him and thinks that the kid is making up a story again. He quizzes Gracia about a dog the Lovelace family owned since he claims to be a Lovelace. The kid easily relays that the dog was adopted 6 years ago and is named Lizo. Rock goes to inform Dutch about the new information. The kid happens to be telling the truth because Rock knows enough about rare earth metals and the Lovelace family's dog. What Dutch is confused about is the fact that why didn't the cartel make calls for his ransom to make some cash? Something doesn't feel right. Rock suggests that they should wait before handing over the kid to the mafia because if the cartel were hiding something about the kid, then there is definitely trouble waiting for them. Revy doesn't mind making a ransom deal, and besides it's best if Rock doesn't think about what is going to happen to the kid once he is handed over, though the unjust world will keep going on about its routine business. Rock admits that he does somewhat feel pity for the little one. Rock wants to know why the client lied to them because he knows enough about rare earth metals and the Lovelace family's dog to know that the kid isn't lying. Dutch also doesn't understand why they would hide this information about the kid and not ask for ransom money from his family. Revy assumes that the cartel did the kidnapping out of spite. They were probably mad about something. Dutch tells her if she happens to be correct, then they should put a little price on their package, aka the kid. And he better ask Balalaika for a favor to look into the matter so they can gauge what they are getting themselves into. The woman happily received his call. He wants to know if she can dig up details on the Manasarera cartel and the Lovelace family. Balalaika apparently has her own business dealings with the said cartel, so it wouldn't be a problem to meet his requirements. Dutch thanks her and politely asks her not to stir things up with them. She doesn't want to make any promises that she can't keep. The call ends and Dutch asks Rock if the kid's dad is in a state to pay a big sum. Rock relays that the family is unfortunately not doing so well. They can only afford to keep a maid, and that's about it. Meanwhile, Roberta the maid has arrived at Ruanapur. She asks around for a place where she can find the Colombian cartel. She ends up at Yellow Flag. The pirate crew has stepped ashore as well. They get in the car for drinks at the bar. Roberta asks Bao for water and about the cartel. The man treats her badly, but she doesn't cause any commotion. The kid tells the pirates that the woman is a maid, but she can't cook or clean and is way stronger than Revi. Upon hearing this, Revi bursts out laughing and starts pulling at his leg. Gracia recalls that time when the cartel was about to arrive and he was playing arm wrestling with her. He remembers the way she had stiffened when she sensed them approaching closer. He won't forget the sheer strength in her arm. Back at the bar, the Colombian cartel arrives. People clear the way. Bao seems frightened as well. Meanwhile, Balalaika's informant reports to her about the Lovelace family. She sees the eyes of the maid and quickly catches on the fact that those eyes unmistakably resemble those of a soldier. Abrigo, the leader of the cartel, demands from her to introduce herself since she has been asking around everywhere for them, that they decided to show up. She jumps off the stool, claiming that it was her plan for them to find her. Roberta apologizes for the rudeness as she pulls up her umbrella. The whole bar starts cackling. Just then, the pirates walk through the door. Gracia sees her and realizes that it's the maid he was telling them about in the car. She blasts a powerful shot with her umbrella firearm. The scene cuts to before they had entered the bar. In the car, the kid slowly wakes up from dreaming about his blissful and privileged life with his father and maid before getting dragged into the messed up world of cartels and pirates. He is certain that Roberta will rescue him. Rock wishes he could feel the same. Revi doesn't miss a beat to crack a joke about him missing his mommy. As they're about to step inside the place, she tells him that his maid better be as strong as he claims her to be, because it's been a while since her gun got entertained. The crew enters just in time to see Roberta blow up a man, breaking the table with the force of the blast. The kid is left amazed at this new side of his maid. He mumbles her name with a dry mouth. The crew's heads snap towards him as soon as her identity is revealed. The cartel's men start firing on their leader's command. She flawlessly dodges the bullets by cartwheeling and uses the umbrella as a shield. The men soon stop firing, thinking that they got her, but the umbrella slowly moves away, revealing her holding a bulletproof briefcase. Roberta shoots them one after the other, sending them crashing into things from the sheer impact. She keeps firing at them as if she is in a virtual video game. Bao is mad. His bar has turned into yet another fighting ground. Dutch suggests that they sneak out of the place and leave the kid behind. He isn't worth all this hassle. Rock tells the kid to not leave the hiding spot from under the table until things cool down. Gracia has tears in his eyes. He is clearly frightened because the innocent image of Roberta has been ruined, and he doesn't know who the woman is anymore. Meanwhile, Revi is crawling away when Bao spots her. He angrily asks if her friends are responsible for the damages again. She yells back in denial that this has got nothing to do with her. The shots suddenly cease at her loud voice. Abrigo sees them. He fumingly inquires why the cargo, aka Gracia, is standing in the middle of a fight and not delivered straight to him. Dutch tries to explain the situation. Roberta sees Gracia and is about to shoot Rock when the kid jumps in front of him. Revi swoops in, holding him at gunpoint, telling her to walk away with the kid quietly unless she wants to see her young master's brain blown out. The maid takes forever to think and then starts shooting Revi in the name of Lovelace Creed and St. Mary. Revi keeps shooting back, but ends up sustaining minor injuries and a concussion. The crew gets out of there, but not before Gracia begs Rock to take him away from Roberta. Upon hearing his words, the briefcase loaded with ammunition falls from her grip. She stands there in shock. The Lagoon Company gets out of there, but Abrego is still not done yet. He has finally recalled her and the nickname, the Bloodhound of Florencia, given to her. He celebrates hitting the jackpot because a bounty of $400,000 has been issued over her head ever since she left the Colombian Revolutionary Army 4 years ago. She bids them farewell. Grenades fall from her dress as she bows to them. The whole bar gets destroyed. The Lagoon Company watches the scene from outside. Dutch tells Rock to hurry up and hop into the car before she walks through fire. As soon as they leave, a few minutes later, she walks through fire and breaks a car's window with a strong punch. Dutch tells the crew that they need to get out of her sight. Rock worriedly says that she is like a robot from the future, the only difference being that the actor Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't star in it. Dutch adds that another problem on top of it is that they brought her precious boy with them, which means that they are definitely not getting off the hook easily. While driving, Benny spots her speeding towards them in a car. She rams it from the side with theirs. Dutch starts firing at her. On the other hand, Balalaika has gathered her men to deal with Roberta. She relays to the corporal present on the scene to assure Bao of full insurance of his bar. It's completely engulfed in flames. The sergeant is a bit hesitant on following through, but she reminds him that they owe Dutch. The scene cuts to the chase on the road. Dutch almost blows up her car's engine, but she speeds it up even more and pulls Dutch through the rolled-down window while she drives with the other hand. He manages to get back inside the car when her car's engine starts smoking. Benny drives on the curbs and roads of the town and switches towards narrow alleys. Dutch wants him to jump on the main road and get to the port at high speed. As soon as the man pulls the car on the main road, she appears out of thin air. The woman drives her car on rooftops, fires at them and throws her car onto theirs. Hers go crashing into a window and theirs stop on the road with the engine not starting. Roberta smashes the car's window to get out of it and launches herself at them. She starts chasing them on foot and jumps on the hood of the car. Dutch tells Gracia to duck down for him to get a clear shot of her. Gracia still doesn't want her to be shot. Rock gets him down and Dutch starts shooting at him, but to no avail. Roberta climbs on the roof and starts shooting again. In the frenzy, Benny realizes that the car has drifted off the main road and is about to head straight towards the port. The car hits one of the containers. She ends up on another one and hangs upside down. However, after a minute, she jumps right in front of the car. Is she even human? Revy finally wakes up. She is infuriated at the fact that the woman had knocked her out. The women decide to fight each other. They start shooting at each other the moment Roberta calls her a coward for pointing the gun at Gracia earlier. They both start running while shooting with guns in both hands. Roberta has managed to wound Revy's shoulder while Revy has made a hole in Roberta's gun. Gracia gets out of the car to cheer for Roberta. The women appear in front of them. They run towards each other and continue to shoot. They end up falling on the ground, aiming the guns at each other, but get interrupted by Balalaika and her men surrounding them. She tells the women to quit fighting each other. Balalaika marches towards them, informing Roberta that she made her job easy with catching Mercenary cartel, which means that their Venezuela headquarters is probably in shambles by now, which also implies that Gracia is free to go. There is no point in continuing to fight. Her men fire at them, removing the guns out of their hands. Gracia wants to go home with her. He doesn't want to see her with a gun anymore. But Balalaika's got other plans. She decides to reveal the maid's true identity to the boy. For the first time, the so-called maid loses her cool. Balalaika doesn't stop. She informs him that the bloodhound's actual name happens to be Rosarita Cisneros. She has been trained to be an assassin in Cuba and is a former FARC guerrilla. Moreover, she has a record of multiple kidnappings and murders around the world, and the cherry on top being that Roberta is also suspected for her involvement in the bombing of a US embassy in Tegucigalpa. The poor kid is traumatized and asks his maid for confirmation. The woman hangs her head low, admitting that there are things in this world that he is better off without knowing about them. She confesses that she did murder anyone and everyone as a soldier, but it was in the name of a better future, a revolution. However, in the end, it was revealed to her, after all the heinous crimes she was made to commit, that she was a mere guard dog for the mafia and their cocaine field. That was when she had decided to leave that life behind and was taken in by his father. Roberta blames her negligence for his kidnapping and tells him that she had to be a guard dog once again to save his life. Gracia doesn't want to hear her call herself a dog and runs towards her, his voice hitching as he cries out that she is his family and he wants them to go back, and that Rosarita woman is long dead. Their heart-touching reunion gets ruined by Revy reminding them that Roberta needs to settle things with her. There is a bullet in her shoulder, and she won't let this go so easily. Dutch mischievously suggests that they should go for a round of fistfight. The women agree to it. Roberta kicks it off with the classic distraction line, telling Revy that her shoelace is untied. The woman falls for the trick, and as soon as she looks at her shoelaces, Roberta throws a strong uppercut punch at her. Everyone else besides Revy is enjoying it. The women keep punching each other back and forth, while the rest of them start betting on who would win the fight. When it's Rock's turn to vote, he tries to make them see that the situation must be controlled. They should be stopping the fight, rather than escalating it further. Balalaika offers him to stop the fight. Rock obviously isn't capable of doing it. He slowly walks towards them and politely requests them to stop, but they yell back to stay out of it. They keep fighting until they give each other one last punch and fall to the ground. The fight ends in a draw. Revi is knocked unconscious while Roberta has enough strength to talk. Balalalika orders her sergeant to drop off Gracie and Roberta at the airport and get rid of any mafia trying to kill them. Afterwards, Revi is still passed out cold when Rock asks Balalalika. The woman is obviously no mere mafia, and from the uniform, it seems as if they were soldiers. Benny explains that that's because they are ex-military, and her surrounding subordinates were so well trained that they could carry out World War III. They are Afghan war veterans with excellent fighting skills. It's another day in Rawanapur, a city where gangs fight for territory. Rock goes to wake up Revi for a job. According to Dutch, it's an emergency situation, and they need to hurry up. It's from Mr. Chang of Triad. The man sits in their office with his feet on top of the table, complaining to Dutch about not receiving any good food service in his office. Dutch reminds him that his services are only limited to the torpedo boat. Revi and Rock enter just as the man is about to start explaining why his building got blown up. He pulls out a briefcase and tells them that some Bulgarian tried to sell guns in his territory, as if they were shrimp. He had warned him not to do it, but the man didn't take him seriously until his men almost crushed his testicles, so he decided to make a deal. Revi cackles, as if the implied abuse was some sort of a joke. Mr. Chang continues to tell them that he made a rather pleasant discovery with the man's bargain. It turned out that he was working for the Bulgarian intelligence and bargained some hiking chart documents belonging to a small business in exchange for his life. The group's malicious intent as they destroyed the US embassy has already been broadcasted earlier on TV. Dutch doesn't have a good feeling about this. Mr. Chang adds that he had visited one such group and told them that they dropped something and what it would cost them. They instead warned him to get out of there before he got roasted. When he told them that he'd go ask someone else, they answered back by blowing up his office. Then he talks about the task the Lagoon Company has to carry out. He wants them to deliver a briefcase with the hiking cards, but for safety measures, the man will order 5 teams to leave for different locations to confuse the enemy, with only one group containing the actual documents, aka a feint. The Lagoon Company's allotted location will be the local base of the Basilan Island. They will have to reach there in just 2 days. The reason being that the embassy bombing is a chain reaction. The time is ticking. Soon, that group will be done with its hiking chart and will have selected a new president. As he is narrating things, the group has already discovered their location and launches an RPG at them. Revi sees them at the last minute and quickly takes cover. Chang assures them that he will pay for the repair bills and asks Revi to show the way out. They knock the door on the men and start shooting them one after the other in a single go. They throw a grenade at them, but Chang kicks it back and it blasts on the terrorist group. The rest of the Lagoon Company escape as the path starts clearing up. Chang, shooting with guns in both hands. One of them targets him from above, but Revi quickly shoots him down. Kang tells her to quit bragging and watch out as he shoots the other man about to target her. The Lagoon Company gets in the car brought by Chang's men. He is about to tell them the password to the place, but the car speeds away. Meanwhile, Ibrahim from the terrorist group gets informed that the Lagoon Company is on the move. He suggests to his comrade Takanaka Masahiro that they better kill the crew near Bankantang. The latter is a bit hesitant because according to him, things should have settled with the bombing of the Triad office and took Chang for some random gangster. Takanaka wants them to speed up their plan in the USA, but the other one reminds him that the FBI is onto them. They need to follow through with the Triad feint plan, or else everything will be ruined. The men decide on taking the sea route. The Lagoon Company's boat has set out. Under the moonlit sky, Revi spots the prey and shots towards it. Dutch devise a plan. He tells Rock that he and Revi should get off at Zamboanga, while they will use the boat as bait and move past Basilan and use the Zodiac to get to Basilan. Takanaka, without consulting with Ibraha, has landed at the base of Basilan. The latter is angry with him for not taking the plan seriously, and for being reckless. Takanaka assures him that he can see right through Triad's plan. Ibraha angrily cuts the call. Meanwhile, Dutch is getting their little boat ready to move with the plan. He will meet Revi and Rock at the base once they are done delivering the documents. Chang has an additional order for them, which is written on a piece of paper. Revi takes it with her without reading it. The lagoon boat moves past Basilan. The men of the group relay this information to Takanaka. Their assumption is that the crew is heading north from Negros. Takanaka is still hoping for the boat to come to the Basilan. Revi and Rock arrive there. The village is like a ghost town, not a soul in sight. The reason being that the place has been under martial law for 2 years. They get ambushed by Takanaka. He arrives in a jeep and rolls the window down to point out that the Lagoon crew are 4 and not 2. He tries to break the ice by joking around, but Revy gets straight to the point, telling him that Chang has sent the message that I am Tai San Fu Quan, which means the god of death and punishment shall hereby bring down judgment on him, and the password has been changed by Mr. Chang. The smile gets wiped off his face. The man starts shooting at them and Revy shoots back. He swerves the car and Rock gets knocked out. Revy shoots the man, but Rock gets kidnapped. Other vehicles approach her, blocking her from going after Rock. Just then, the getaway car arranged by Chang makes an appearance. The woman, Shenhua, an assassin, throws a bunch of kunahi at them while Ligok drives them away. The enemy does not follow them and retreats because the military has left its camp. Shenhua and Ligok want to get the job over with and drop Revy off at the base. The woman gives them the bad news that Rock has the documents and they need to rescue him in order to deliver the documents to the base. Meanwhile, Rock awkwardly stands in the middle of men surrounding him with loaded guns pointing at him. Turns out that the briefcase is empty and Rock declares that he doesn't know any details. Takanaka takes him for interrogation, but Rock stays silent. The man still persists on getting something out of Rock. He informs Rock that he was born in Adachi, a city in Japan, and starts describing places in Japan he once visited when he was young. Rock seems surprised to hear him. Ibraha's patience is running thin. Takanaka asks what he is doing amongst such people in the first place. Surely the job doesn't fill up his stomach. However, at this point, according to him, they are both outsiders to that country. Rock, irritated, tells him not to group them together. He is different from the rest of them. He chose to do this job and didn't get kicked out like the rest. Takanaka corrects him that he himself left after he gave his all for the sake of human activism and revolution. They keep going back and forth about resolutions and aims when Ibraha cuts them off. He has had enough and holds Rock at gunpoint, demanding where he has kept the documents. Takanaka decides on leaving the boy alone till the next day because he is certain the boy will eventually talk, since he is not a military man, but a mere delivery boy. Ibraha is losing it. He tries to make the man understand that they can't be wasting time. Takanaka assures him that they will interrogate Revy instead. He assumes that she will come to rescue him. Revy arrives as predicted by the man. Shenhua worries if they don't hurry, Rock might end up giving away some key information. Revy assures her that nothing like that is going to happen. Ibraha angrily bursts through Takanaka's office, informing him that according to the reports he is receiving, the rest of the briefcases are empty, which only means that Rock has the key. Takanaka diverts the conversation to Revy. The women arrive just in time. She rescues Rock. The latter sees Takanaka, but resumes to run. The man smirks as Rock runs away free. After getting into the car, they realize the driver is very much high. He speeds the car towards the enemy base. Revy has no choice but to start shooting again. Ibraha orders jeeps to follow them. Revy loses rock, paper, scissors to Shenhua, who goes on a killing spree. Revy wants to kill some as well, as if it's some sort of a video game. Meanwhile, Chang is worried about the time. Only 31 minutes are left. Dutch asks if they can use other means of resources. Chang isn't really bothered. He just wants the job done. He informs the CIA that he'd like the money wired, because things are right on time. Back at Baislin, the enemy jeeps are right behind them. Revy jumps on the rooftop and starts shooting with guns in both hands. She murders almost all of them, and Ibraha's vehicle is unable to start. The man starts yelling in frustration. Ibraha charges more units at them to get the document, while Takanaka tries to tell him that by doing so, all their troops will end up dead. No matter what he does, his son won't be coming back. Ligach drives the car through the DMZ base, but Takanaka tells the men not to fire. Ibraha goes on and on about how this is not a mere job, but a way of living. He wants to teach those in Reach a lesson. The man has a crazy look in his eyes. He orders all units to charge into the government camp. Takanaka doesn't want their cause to fog up their goal, but Ibraha has lost it. Takanaka pulls out a gun and puts a permanent end to his comrades' wild talk once and for all. He calmly orders all units to retreat and return to their second gathering point. Laiharsh gets them to the base still high. Agent Sugar and Agent Blend arrive on a helicopter to receive the documents. Rock starts freaking out because he doesn't have the suitcase. Revy comes to the rescue yet again by pulling out the documents from under her top. It's all sweaty and wet, but they take it anyway, requesting her to deliver things in a more decent way for the next time. It looks like Revi had the documents all along. She lied to Leiharsh and Shenhua in order to rescue Rock. Agent Blend, before getting on the helicopter, tells her that if the chief at Buffalo Hill and NYPD 27th Precinct saw her now, they will be nothing short of scared. Revi has a surprised look on her face after hearing him. Rock comes from behind. He feels as if he needs to formally thank her for saving him. She laughs it off, but then gives him a hard punch and tells him that the charges for getting kidnapped will be deducted from his paycheck. And the next time, if he pulled a stunt like this again, he better be asking God for help. Meanwhile, Takanaka has flown back. He encounters the man he met at the airport before. He asks Takanaka about his trip, but he makes up lies. As he is about to leave, the man asks about his job. Takanaka replies that his job is to be the enemy of the state. The anime wraps up with a successful mission of the Lagoon Company, and of course, with a little help from a clear-headed Takanaka. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.